students' lives and the lives of your colleagues, and making sure that you touch base with the people that matter. I'm ever grateful for all of your attempts to keep things going. I checked into Sheldon's community Zoom workshop and read some of the comments from the high school students who said some things about what they appreciated in this, because they're going through this too, being online for the very first time. And they were saying how much they appreciated their teachers working so hard to keep them connected and working so hard to keep them learning. And I just thought, I know that our students feel the same way about all of the ways that you are making sure that they continue to learn and that they continue to feel that support. The counselors are checking in with the students, the faculty are keeping them engaged and keeping connected in all different kinds of ways. And I know that making sure that the students feel that they matter and that you care and that you're there for them. It's only been 2 days. I was going to say since my last confession, but that's not true. But it's only been 2 days since we checked in, so there's not a whole lot to talk about, but I will share some things. So right now there's a lot of anxiety that I'm sure everyone is feeling about what are we going to do for fall. And Erica, in her meetings with the vice presidents and the presidents every morning at 7:30, is really trying to push for the university to make the call. Right now we have our fall schedule designed as if it was a normal fall. And the more we look nationally, the more we suspect it's not going to be a normal fall. So it's quite possible that there will be some continuation of remote delivery in those courses that can be delivered remotely. So we need to be thinking through what that means for us. Across the community colleges, there were 93 classes, or courses actually, that needed to be suspended because they could not be delivered remotely because of the nature of the learning. And so there needs to be some really serious thinking through about what that might mean if we need to continue remote delivery in the fall. So as best as you can with you and your colleagues and your department chairs and your deans, be thinking about how that would look. What we do know is that if we continue in the fall in some manner other than a normal fall, that there will need to be negotiation with UPA. So that is also part of the planning that needs to happen going forward. I've spoken to you several times about CARES funding, that there's two different waves of the funding. The first wave was direct support to students, and the second is much more of an institutional level funding. The first level of CARES funding is, as I suggested on Wednesday, now subject to all kinds of new constraints by the US Department of Education. And so what was almost ready to go is now stalled as the institutions across the country try to interpret what the guidance was from the US DOE. So it was characterized this morning as a mess, nationally a mess. So we are still trying to figure out who is eligible. That is on pause as the legal counsel tried to figure things out. The second wave of CARES funding, which was more like institutional funding, is probably going to be looked at strategically from the university's point of view. And it seems to be suggesting that it is institutional to support learning in this COVID environment. And I was not able to attend the shared services workshop. Brandon, anything you want to say about CARES 1 or CARES 2, since you've been reading it very carefully?
Yes, thank you again for your leadership in getting these funds to the campus really quickly. The first wave of funding is mostly for emergency student aid, and that's half of what we're going to get. There's a long list of requirements that can be met that we just need to stay within. And the easiest way to think about that is any student that's eligible to receive federal aid under Title IV of the Higher Education Act can qualify for these funds. I know of two populations that will not qualify for funds for emergency assistance. The first are DACA students, and the second are students that were only enrolled in online courses as of March 13th. And then for the second wave, the institutional portion, this is largely looking at costs that were incurred as a result of responding to the coronavirus. The really easy part of it, it's a two-part test. First part is easy. The costs have to be incurred on or after March 13th, when President Trump enacted the national emergency. And the second part is showing that these costs are things that will help the campus expand remote learning programs, build IT capacity to support remote learning programs, train faculty and staff to operate effectively, and it can also be put towards additional emergency funding. So I've got the categories posted to the Title III website, and I'll make sure that everybody gets that on the CAC mailing list today.
Thanks, Brendan.
You're very welcome.
Let's see, going over my notes. Those of you who've been on the campus for at least a year or so, you may be expecting or would have been expecting to get sent links to 360 evaluations for the administrators. That process has been suspended for this semester. The administrators will continue to be required to do their self-assessments, and the self-assessments will be submitted to supervisors, and there will be those discussions with the supervisors, but there will not be a 360 survey sent out to anyone this year in the university. You know, Mayor Caldwell extended the stay-at-home, work-at-home policy till May 30th. So we will continue with our campus closure to the general public, open only to faculty, staff, employees, and students. We will continue with the bathrooms being open in 2 different spots, continue with the buildings being out of AC, except for the library. So if you are coming on campus and you are wanting to be in air conditioning, then you could hang out in the library, maintaining social distance and wearing a mask in shared spaces on the campus. That's part of the mayor's proclamation too. So if you are walking around the campus, we expect folks to be wearing masks. Another summer project is on-ramp for the high school students. I've mentioned that before. There was a first meeting of some of the folks from all of the campuses to be talking about what that might look like. And it is a project that's going to be funded through external resources. It will be offered to high school students for free. It will include courses in summer session 1 and summer session 2, as well as sort of an interim break. So for students who couldn't get their applications or their registrations in on time for summer 1, there's going to be this 3rd summer session that overlaps 1 and 2 a little bit. The focus of the summer session classes will be intro to college kind of courses, also intro to the discipline, intro to the profession kind of courses, to help students navigate or figure out what they might want to do in college, whether at the end of this summer session courses, whether they want to go to college, whether they want to do workplace training or go to the military. They will be able to have a better sense of what that might mean. Okay, I see some questions before Are we able to put in for work from home through May all at once? Probably not a wise idea, because if you decide to come to work, then you'd have to go back and undo everything. So we are encouraging people to do it on a weekly basis, and you can do it all at once at the end of a week when you're good. So for those faculty or those employees, sorry, who need to do the COVID work from home leave, just try to do it once a week. Let's see, thanks. Okay, I'm about to call on the other admin guys to chime in. If there are questions that you have, anyone, from what I said just now, feel free to unmute your mic and ask a question, or put it in the chat box before I invite other folks. Darsh has a message for everyone. He's the guy that'll help fix the errors. Thank you, Darsh. No, the summer program for the high school students will be for special courses, not necessarily our regular, unless they've already applied to come to the college, in which case they can do summer session. But these will be free to the students, the ones that are being offered through the on-ramp program.
Dr. Louise?
Yes, Lynn?
I don't know if this is the right time, but I guess we can just bring it up and you can tell me to wait till later. Last time on the campus Zooms, Lavache was sharing about their efforts for the food pantry, the Puhukaina food pantry. And actually I had photographers go out there to take some pictures for some things. And I went out there and I saw Lavache and Coco working so hard to package the boxes of food and packages for whomever would be driving up or riding bikes up or walking up. And so we worked really quickly to put together an online giving page and a link for everyone to make a donation if you want to, and or to share it, because it's not always easy right now to buy food in bulk to donate, and you know, we are encouraging social distancing. So today we actually got like a $2,000 donation. Can everybody see that link? It's really resonating with the community as well. So I'll put that there, and I can email that to the CAC later too, so that you can share that. And thank you, Lavache and Coco, for all you do. Just to let our campus know so that we can explain it to others, this fund was started and it's a advancement account for under the Luna Lilo Scholars Program, because they wanted to work and create this food pantry. We were going to keep that fund because at this time it's not feasible to create new funds, but this fund solely does a lot of the food pantry work, community garden, you know, serving peer mentors and whatnot in the community. So it is directly going to be for food insecurity, food safety, just that much.
Thank you.
If you want to see it, I can share my screen, or this is overkill.
Little.
Okay, bye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Lynn.
For setting that up. I really appreciate you setting that up so quickly, because people have been asking. But just to give you guys an idea, it's much cheaper for us to buy food from the food bank than it is for you to purchase food. So it costs us 18 cents a pound at the food bank. So if we get 1,000 pounds, and we've been going through about 1,000 pounds a week right now, it's $180. So it's really more feasible to donate than to, unless of course you have food you want to donate that you want to get rid of and things like that. But
who will be teaching the on-ramp classes? That will depend on what we choose to offer. I believe Nava'a and Maria and Lisa Raddick were on that Zoom meeting this morning. There have been no decisions made, but it will be our faculty if they are available and willing. Maria Nava'a, anything you want to add? I know Lisa and John Richards are both at a CTE Dean's meeting all day. So Maria or Nava'a, do either one of you want to talk about the classes that we might be offering?
Okay, we were looking at the IS courses that we have because the plan was for the first summer session, it's more the intro to college courses. So we thought that the IS courses are going to be fit, perfect for that, for the first summer session. And then the second summer session is more towards whatever, career or pathway they want to go to, if they want to go hospitality or culinary or whatever. And then Lisa also has courses in the health sciences that she thinks she can bundle together to for the students who are interested in going into the health programs. So those were the classes, but there's no final decision yet as to what. We just had the meeting this morning, so we will be reaching out to the faculty, find out if they are interested in doing it for this high school on-ramp program. Nabaan?
Yeah, me and Maria was just tossing around some ideas. One that we had was we saw IS 103 in the catalog. I was trying to figure out if we could possibly do something similar to what we do with our undergraduate research courses, the Sci 295. I think if you have a chance to go in the class availability, Sci 295 is the umbrella course, and botany has their own Sci 295, engineering has their own Sci 295, and maybe the IS 103 can be for folks who are coming to college, who are thinking of going into a health science program, or someone who's thinking of majoring in anthropology or English. Just tossing around ideas, nothing final, but we thought maybe that would be the cleanest way. And the courses will be sheltered. So yeah, similar to early college, $2,000 per credit. That students wouldn't be paying. Yeah.
I wish I could type. Sorry, I'm responding to Susan Jarowski's note, and I have a mistake. I'm so sorry. Okay, Maria, I'm going to be running down the BCs. So anything else you want to add?
Okay, the memorandum for the grades came out. There's been discussion with, I think, the counselors. The system office has met with them. And then they're also going to be meeting with the department chairs pretty soon. The other one that just came out yesterday was about, what was that now? Placement exams. So we are still going to continue preparing for getting the AccuPlacer via Zoom. Library is still working on that one right now. I do not know how fast the cognitive assessment group will come up with the rubrics and everything to get EdReady up and running before the summer classes. So we want the students to be able to be placed before that. So we're preparing for the AccuPlacer via Zoom through the testing center. I think other than that, that's all I have. Oh, and by the way, I asked about, because the AccuPlacer, remember the 2-year limit was lifted for AccuPlacer results and all the GPAs and high school SAT and ACT scores. And I asked about Compass and nobody responded. So I guess it's a no.
So you can't use Compass, old Compass scores?
I guess nobody wanted to respond to me.
They're afraid.
I'll ask again, yeah.
Any questions for Maria?
But thank you everybody for all that you do. I will be sending out an email regarding final exams soon.
Okay. Noel.
No big updates from me. As Louise already mentioned, we're still waiting on the recommendation about the CARES Act and how we're gonna award these to students. So once we get further guidance about that and have a better understanding of it, we'll probably share more information. But that's it for now.
Thanks, Noel. Questions for Noel? Okay, Brian?
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. Hope you guys are all well. I got a number of just kind of housekeeping stuff, but important nonetheless. I've received a number of requests to continue to make purchases. Our purchase deadline was April 10th. I'm not entirely 100% no on that, but I do ask you to please go through your department chairs or unit heads, and then also through your respective administrators. So just follow that chain of command. I've received a few that didn't include them on there, and it's very important so that they know what's going on as well. Also, just as a reminder, we're under a directive right now to, we want to obviously pay all of our bills, but we're also under directive by the university to essentially save as much money as we can as we end this year. So this year is not going to be the same as prior years where we're going to, go and buy a whole bunch of paper or load up on PCs so that we have end of year money. It's going to be a little bit different this year. So we will be asking exactly what it is that you would like to purchase this late. Louise already mentioned this, but just as a reminder, we are still under emergency order. So a lot of programs are coming and saying, hey, we've been approached by this community partner or by this organization and they want us to help here. They like to use this equipment and so on and so forth. We have to vet all of these very carefully, and many times we have to go through legal. We can't just make our deals with them because there's a process under emergency order in which all of the state resources, in fact, all government resources basically are under the command of General Hara and Governor Ige at this point in time. So for instance, this is a real situation. We have medical equipment that hospitals want to use either in response to COVID or in preparation for COVID. In times past, we'd be like, hey, you've been a great partner. You've taken care of our students and we appreciate it. Let's just, come to an agreement and quickly get this out. And while we do still want to do that and honor our partnerships, we have to go about it in a different way. And so that all has to be vetted through legal counsel. I'm working on one right now. And so Bob, I'm working frantically right now to get this done. And Louise has to sign it and it'll go to legal. They may say no, okay? In regard to that, because we're still under this emergency order and it looks to be that it will not be lifted until well after May 30th. Please also keep that in mind. Louise made mention of that. I just want to remind folks that we're not going to be changing our operational tact or operational approach. Campus will largely remain closed to the public. We're going to be on our current AC schedule, and a lot of places are just going to be locked down. And that'll go again until this emergency order is lifted and the university starts returning back to normal. The nice thing about that is we're a pretty vacant campus, so we're trying to move up a lot of our projects. So for instance, we were supposed to start our Lot C repaving toward the latter part of the summer, and that would have potentially ran into the fall. We're just trying to get that moving quicker now, maybe even as soon as the end of May. And so this is also a way for government to keep one of our pillars of the economy moving, and that's construction. As construction goes, the economy goes. And so they're asking for a lot of these projects to move more quickly. And so that's a good thing. Finally, just to verbally for everyone, there was a question earlier asked by Jamie Sickle about leave. It's not just that you don't want to wait until the end, or you don't want to do it too early because you may have gone vacation or you may have gotten sick for some other reason. It's also because we're getting audited now. As you guys have heard, the university, or the all state agencies, not the university, we've actually done a good job. All state agencies have been under fire because legislature and members of the public are seeing, hey, why are these guys not working? And they're getting paid to not work. The university has nobody who's getting paid to not work. In fact, as an essential business, we're either teaching or supporting the operations of the college. But that's a bigger reason as to why we want to keep our leave. If you are under a work from home plan and you've been asked to submit that COVID-19 leave, please do so at least weekly, if not twice weekly, because we don't know when they're going to pull our statistics or our information and deliver that to the legislature. And so we just want to make sure it's as accurate as possible. We're not telling you to go in every single day. That could get taxing. But again, at the very least once a week, if not twice. And that's about it, unless there's questions.
Joe, Yoshida just says UH leave doesn't allow us to put COVID-19 leave past April 30.
That's good. I'm glad you caught that. I'm sure that's going to change since it does look like, again, that it's going to be until at least May 30th.
Mm-hmm. Yep. You guys are funny. Nava, anything you'd like to share? Oh, I'm sorry. Any questions for Brian?
Thank you. Everyone have a great weekend.
Nava?
Yeah, I've been looking at just courses that are filling and how we're doing for fall. I know I should be looking at summer, but I'm just looking at fall. And if I could just ask the department chairs, because what it looks like is for fall, online classes are filling. So in the event those fill quickly and they're closed, it might be worth thinking of adding, how do I say this? Moving a face-to-face course to online. I'm thinking there's an opportunity for us to really get all the high school students and even the students who, you know, are at one of the four-year universities on the continent, that if they cannot travel, how do we make our courses viable or something that they'll come here to take? So even though enrollment doesn't look so good, I know we was looking at some data, and Maui College, 60% of their high school students registered in May. And I know May's coming quickly, but if I can ask folks to just email me some of your thoughts, navaa@hawaii.edu, on what kind of retarded things I could do, because I operate under retardation. And I'm willing to try whatever I can to really help boost enrollment, because I'm thinking a lot of our local students might be too afraid, or their families won't let them go back to school. So how do we tell them, well, come here? Yeah, just, I know we can keep our enrollment up, but I think we gotta kind of move quickly. And I know you guys are out teaching online, so if there's something you think I could do, just pop me an email. Hey, that's it.
Thanks, Naval. Questions for Naval? Could we please consider posting the C19 codes for fall in-person and hybrid courses before conversion? Do you guys know what that means? Naval? That's Terry's question.
Posting the C19. I think the C19 are classes that we input into solid detail and banners. So those courses are available to VA students. Correct, Terry?
Oh, these are the courses that changed from face-to-face to online.
Ah.
Remember that one?
Yeah. No.
Yeah, yeah, you do.
So I guess if we have to make the change, then we would add the COVID-19, but the C19. But if we're not changing yet, we shouldn't put the code in, right?
No, not yet.
Oh, okay. Got it. So if we do change face-to-face to online, do we put it? Or if we're going from on, yeah, okay, got it.
Right. Mickey has a suggestion. Laptops and hotspots for students. That's maybe something that we could be thinking of for the second half of the COVID money to extend technology. I've heard about Raspberry Pi, and maybe that's something that we could be thinking about for students, yeah?
Hervé, where is he?
Hervé, is Hervé on? Hervé is the Raspberry Pi guy. I don't know that he's on. No, I don't see him. Okay, Carol, anything you'd like to share?
Yes, I just wrote in the chat that I'm using a hotspot with my laptop.
Oh, your audio is going really crazy. You're sounding like you're in another time zone.
But it
Carol,
cuts in and out. Anyway, I did want to share that. Yes. Okay.
Your audio
better?
was very weird. Better now, yes.
Okay. Continuing education and training has been working hard to get its courses online. And one of the early ones, the customer service in Hawaii, has been advertised in all of the classes, all of the modules. It's a statewide program, so we're real happy. And I give a shout out to Shirley Sucano, Eva Hubbard, and Melissa for getting that online. And we'll be putting more up, but I just wanted to share that with everyone. And I do want to tell everyone to be safe and have a good weekend.
Thanks, Carol. Any questions for continuing ed and Carol? Okay, Joanne.
Hi. So many of you already know that we have created these Padlets. It's like a message board for our graduating students. And so Jamie, can you stick the link in the chat? She's much faster than me. So we just are encouraging faculty and staff, admin to go into those Padlets and really just write some congratulatory messages to your students. And you can text, you can add a photo, you can do a slideshow, you can put a video, you can do all kinds of things. And somebody asked if it's okay if we do individual messages to students, and yes, you can. Shari Tamashiro is working on getting that whole list together, and it'll be up. You'll be receiving it no later than Monday because we're receiving it. So, you know, if it will help for you to know who's graduating. So that'll come to you guys soon.
Questions for Joanne?
Joanne.
Yeah, Bob.
Just real quickly, so I went into the Padlet for our program today, and there's other samples of stuff in there. I'm assuming those are going to be taken out at some point.
Yes. So before we're going to be giving it to the students or it'll be public on May 4th. And so once we go there, we'll take all those out. They're just there as samples, so people can, oh, look, I can do this, you know.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Thanks, Bob.
Also, I just wanted to clarify, it's not going live to the students until May 4th, so please don't share this link with your students. The idea is that we all get in there so that the students, when they do access it on May 4th, don't open up sad, empty Padlets. So please, please post and encourage your colleagues to post, but don't share with students just yet.
Thanks, Jimmy. Okay, that's all the news from the dark side. Anybody else would like to share anything? Hi, Susan. Go.
I would like to announce to the campus that as of today, our new second director on the UPA Board of Directors is Kelly Nakamura.
Oh, congratulations, Kelly.
I don't think she's on this call right now, but I figured this was the quickest way to let everybody know. She is replacing Matt Tuthill, whose term ended.
Okay, and you're the other one.
Yes.
Okay, so everybody knows now who the UPA reps are. Thank you for being on the board.
Alrighty, you're welcome.
Okay, anybody else have any announcements, anything they'd like us to know about?
Hi, Louise, this is Carl.
Yes, Carl.
I just, in preparation regarding the discussion about fall, possibly more distance learning or remote learning courses, encourage faculty to participate in a Top to Go program. There are a significant number already enrolled, but we're also going to need other faculty to help support those that are enrolled. So please encourage yourself and others around you to participate in the Top to Go program. If you have specific questions related to that, please reach out to Helen Torigoy, Jamie Sicko, or Yojing Zhang. In regards to expanding student capacity for remote hotspots and Raspberry Pis, please understand we are looking at our wireless network and possible expansion to outdoor spaces. Our previous emphasis has been on indoor spaces. We are considering outdoor spaces, but that does come with cost, so we'll have to balance cost with benefit. I strongly believe student access is a benefit, but again, cost is a factor, but we are looking into that.
Okay, anybody else? Naval?
Yeah, just in the spirit of inclusivity, hard for say, transparency and accountability. Can you tell us a little bit more about the teaching equivalency task force that you put together? Disappearing task force. Just because I'm on it with some of the chairs. There's Dave, Susan, Lisa, Sarah, Candy called the meeting, and so right now we have 2 co-chairs, which is Grant and Amy Yamashiro. And the conversations in the meeting, really great. And I think to talk about teaching equivalencies now is a really good idea. So if you can just tell folks a little bit more about what the charge was.
Okay, so Faculty Senate put forward a resolution about teaching equivalencies. There were lots and lots of questions about especially how decisions were made and who gets. And this is, as a result of the drastic cuts to TEs that we made for the spring, there were lots of questions from Faculty Senate. And I'd have to look back exactly at the memos, and I can't do that right now, but okay, let me try to put the chronology together. There were lots of questions to the union as well. And so I consulted the union, and the union asked me, was there some formula somewhere that was used to determine how many TEs anybody got? And I said, the only thing we have is UHCCP 9.237, which is the policy from the UHCC system that says TEs are these kinds of things and these kinds of responsibilities. If they exceed what is reasonably expected of a faculty member, would be able to get TEs a range of this to that. And I said, that's the only thing we've got. So I asked the Faculty Senate to put together a disappearing task force to look at, in particular, the process, how are decisions made? How is a faculty member to request TEs? How is it approved? How is it documented? Now, a long time ago, in a galaxy far away, there used to be a form, and I can remember applying for TEs, and I would have to request the TEs every semester and write a report every semester and submit that to Leon, who was then the Dean of Instruction. And that was, 30 years ago. Over time, we've lost that process, and it really is very much more fluid. And sometimes department chairs get caught out because all of a sudden they find out that some grants come down and faculty member has been given assigned time and they didn't even know. And they have a really important role to play in that teaching equivalency assignment because now they're stuck. They got to cover for that faculty member. So I've asked that the Faculty Senate consider what is the process, what are the documentations, how are people held accountable. There are questions about department chairs, about program coordinators. How come this department chair gets X and this other one gets X plus? How come this program coordinator gets this much and this other one gets that much? So there is a disappearing task force, and I had a preliminary conversation with Grant and Amy. On the task force, I suggested that Maria and you, Navaha, be on it because you are administrators now, but have a long history of faculty work as well as being department chairs and knowing what that looks like from all angles when people talk about TEs. So I did have a preliminary conversation with Amy and with Grant to talk a little bit about what my thoughts were, and I shared those with them. And I also shared with them the charter template so that it would be, it being the charge, would be clear, and the objectives would be clear, and the timeline would also be clear. So they're probably going to work something out with that charter for the group to give clarity and more structure to the group. If there are questions from anyone, I understand all the department chairs are on this. Is that a fact? Am I correct?
No, it's the department chairs or their designees. So Candy and I are on there and not our chairs. And I think that there are some units or departments who aren't involved in the TE situation, so they are not currently participating. I think we whittled down our list quite a bit yesterday, but I think Amy's on, so Amy can tell you more about that.
Oh, thank you. Amy. Maybe Amy's on. Amy, are you mute?
I was muted. Am I okay? Yeah, we just asked anybody, we just got the list from Candy, and then people who don't, department chairs or units heads who don't have TE, like non-instructional teaching equivalencies as part of their unit, could just be kind of excused from being on the TE task force. And then, as Susan mentioned, there's a few people standing in for their department chairs for whatever decisions they made within their departments.
Okay. Anything you want to add to the scope or the nature of the work or anything?
Not really. We're still at the beginning stages, so we're just trying to really, at this point, get a grasp on what is the system now, and then look ahead at how it could be
better,
improved, and more systematic.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Louise, can I jump a question, because I'm enjoying the weekly meetings as well, and glad we didn't decide to go to 2 a week just yet. But anyway, I think what we've been struggling with a little bit is there's different aspects of all the TE. Like, for instance, you were talking about the department chair part of it. Also the instructional TEs that came from, John Morton's policy. And then the TEs for release time. So I think what we're trying to do as a task force is make a decision of what's the biggest priority. And I'm probably talking out of turn, but it would seem to me that the release time for faculty, which probably created the most, kind of uproar this past semester, would be a priority. I don't know if right now the department chair discussion is all that hot or, you know, a big issue, nor I think the, you know, discussion about instructional TEs for lecture labs, those kind of things, the big issue. So
Yeah.
I'm sort of not, I'm speaking out of turn because I haven't really consulted with the rest of the task force, but I'm just trying to, I guess what I'm trying to get at is, if of those different aspects, is there an area that you would consider sort of a first area that we should bite off, or perhaps the lowest hanging fruit that we should sort of take a look at?
Yeah, when I spoke with Amy and Grant, that was really the kind of thing that we did talk about was, you know, what do you tackle first? There are some areas that are more challenging, as you pointed out. So I thought that the easiest thing to do to get traction and to get something completed in some kind of time would be to just look at process for now. And once that's done, to look at, again, looking at program coordinators / program directors or discipline coordinators. What makes it, why would some person get TEs for that work? What would be involved in that? And again, it's a range of things. You know, if you're the discipline coordinator for physiology 141 or 142, you're managing multiple lectures, all kinds of, you know, online, labs, in person, all kinds of things. And if you're the instructor or the discipline coordinator for some other small discipline where there's only like 2 courses or 3 courses and maybe 1 lecturer, is that comparable? Should you both get compensated the same? And so where's that? You know, this is not easy. Where's the threshold? Because the way the policy is written, it's, you know, what is otherwise, you know, reasonably expected of a faculty member. Well, what is that? So you guys recall, if you've been around for a long time, the teaching load used to be 30 credits. Back when I was teaching, it was 30 credits. And everybody, and I don't even remember which contract it was, everybody was released 3 credits in order to do committee work, in order to do this kind of work. So 3 credits is roughly 20% of a semester, roughly. It's 1 day a week. So if the work required is more than 1 day a week, is that when you start adding in additional time off? These are not trivial questions. They've never been quantified to my knowledge in any way that is reasonable. So it's not a small question to ask. So, you know, as the members of the committee learn what is real, what is happening now, and what is this current status, it would be a good thing to be also thinking about, okay, let's create a process to make sure that everybody understands what it is. And so, you know, there's a process for requesting. What if I'm a faculty member, I got this great idea, I need time, I want to know, but how do I ask, who do I ask, and how do I ask for time off? Or I'm the program dean and I need something done. So if you look at the listing of TEs in the most recent couple of 3 years, the vast majority were 2 things. One, it was department chair, program coordinator, discipline coordinator, coordinator of something. And the other was top. Those are the 2 things that we've actually spent money on in non-instructional TEs. Not counting those people who have been reassigned away from teaching full-time. There are a couple of people, we don't really count those as TEs, but the union is asked us to do that. So again, you know, what is the process whereby a dean could ask somebody to do something, or a faculty member could ask, can I do something? And the other ones, which are really departmental level most of the time, program coordinators, discipline coordinators, how would a department chair say this work merits, and how would the department chair ask, and who would they ask to have that non-instructional time? I mean, you know, we operate on oral culture here, and we don't write anything down. So it would be good to have some things written. And you know, over the years, there have been many attempts. So I think the last time was when Charles Sasaki was dean. He tried to get a form together. So there's a bunch of stuff lying around somewhere that we could dig up and make meaningful. I'm not really a fan of doing paperwork to check things off the box. It's got to mean something. But I can tell you that when I was Arts and Sciences Dean, even when I was VCAA, people would email me and say, can you tell me what my project was? Can you tell me what I got the TEs for? Because I can't remember. And I was supposed to be the one to have remembered all of this. So to have some documentation that the faculty member could include in self-assessment documents would be great. Because right now, when they do their self-assessments, they've got to report on what did they get the TEs for. And you know, it's hard if you've never had to write it down anywhere. You're just doing it to do it. So some process whereby there could be documentation that would be useful and meaningful to the department in making plans even. That was a very long answer. It took me like 5
No, thanks for that. Just a couple of things. Our gang has done a beautiful job of putting together a drive site, so they may well already have this in the drive. But that CCCM number that you threw out earlier, what was
2250?
Say it again.
2250, CCCM 2250.
And the other question I had, and thanks for that reminder, you know, because we all lived through that reduction, well, whatever you want to call it, the modification of our teaching. Well, at that time it was still credits. You're right. The reason why we argued for it is because, you know, we're so busy teaching, we didn't have time to do other things as well. So was there any documentation for that? In other words, was there anything that came back and said in lieu of 3 credits? What am I trying to say? I mean, was there anything that documented that?
I'm trying to think. I'm sure there must have been. Either, I don't know, it's not in the contract, I don't think. It might have been in some kind of messages from Morton at the time. I can look through my archives and see, and I can also check with Debbie Nakagawa. She might also know. Okay. I'll do that. Do you want to have a copy of CCCM 2250? Is that what you were asking for?
Oh, if you've got it handy, sure. Like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if somebody's already captured that and put it in our drive, but that's okay. Not one of those things that's a good starting point.
All right, I have it. It's going to be oddly familiar because
I think I could picture
9.237 was pretty much same.
Oh yeah, sure. All those numbers roll off my head like they do yours.
6600 used to be the curriculum one. Anything else you want to know about the CCCM? Okay, anyone else?
That would be a trivia contest we could play.
Yeah.
If it's okay, I just have a couple of comments / announcements. So we have started, FYE, we've started the group advising and registration for our incoming students. So the grade change registration placement is very kind of at the very forefront of my mind right now. First thing in regards to the credit, no credit grade change, I'm also going to put in the chat. We really do our best to tell our students how to check their grades, but most of them do not know how, especially the new ones. And we have a very short turnaround time for students to check their grade and for us to advise them whether or not they should change to credit, no credit. I shared the Zoom recording from the VP for Academic Programs and Posse. It was excellent. If you have time, I know you're busy, but if you have time, please check it out. It's very informative. It explains the implications of the credit, no credit. Basically, many students are going to need help in deciding whether or not they should change to credit, no credit. And so if we can have your help in making sure students know how to check their grade, when they might be able to expect to be able to check their grade, and then see whether or not they should switch to credit, no credit. That would be wonderful. Thank you so much. My understanding is that it's supposed to be a really simple click and star. That's what they're working towards. But some students really need to know what the implications of them doing that might be. And on that same note, I had some instructors ask me if I could provide some screenshots or some kind of video explaining how to withdraw or how to change to credit, no credit. I made one for withdrawing. I'd be happy to make one for the credit, no credit as soon as it's available. But if that would help for you to just post it in La Lima or share it with your class, I would be happy to share that because I understand instructional faculty might not have access to STAR. So, so that can happen. And then, sorry, my third note is so many of the instructional faculty, you really are the ones who see our students regularly. So if there's anything that we, as in, I'm sorry, I shouldn't talk for all the counselors, but if counselors in general, if we can help in following up, I'll just give an example. So, you know, I specifically work with the non-Native Hawaiian Pacific Islander students on our campus. Many of them have just disappeared off the map, and I have their cell phone numbers. I mean, you know, they have my cell phone number, and I'm very worried about them. I don't know if they're still going to class. But if there's students in your class that you're concerned about, please reach out. And if it's difficult to reach us because you don't know who to contact, I'm working on that. But at the very least, I'm going to put my email address here. Thank you.
Thanks, Nikki. Somebody else, Dana put up another URL for help for the students. Couple of things that Mickey pointed out, that there's a very short turnaround time for students to make a decision about credit, no credit versus a letter grade, which really, really makes very important that faculty get their grades in on time. So if you're late with your grades, the students will not have the option. So please, 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 you know, Jerry tries very hard not to have any late grades so that we're 100%. This time it's really important because if the faculty member cannot do the grades on time, they will be denying the student that option. And that's going to have all kinds of different impacts. So you don't want to be there. Other thoughts in the last, oh, we're done. Ah! Anybody else real quick?
Yes. Hi, this is Alfred. I'm just wondering if we could give the students even a additional option at the very end. I checked the withdrawal date, and the last day is April 30th. I shouldn't see why, at least for this campus, that withdrawal date is extended all the way to the end. If they can see their grade, you know, I'd say give them an option of, okay, take the grade, credit, no credit, or withdraw. Because in some instances, a withdrawal is better than credit, no credit. In other instances, credit, no credit is better than withdrawal, but give them all the options at the last moment.
I think if no AL can come on board, I believe that there are always exceptions that can be made on a case-by-case basis. I would not think that at this point we could go back to the system and get campuses to agree to something like that before April 30th. No AL, anything?
It could be just done on this campus.
I think, I mean, that option to go back and make a campus decision, I mean, I guess there are processes in place where if a student wanted to, at the end of a course, they could do a late withdrawal. And it's based on extenuating circumstances, which this COVID situation is. I haven't been part of the conversations when they ended up doing the credit, no credit option. And I don't know if having the W at the end was part of that proposal. I know when I was asked to share the ideas, I brought up the idea of doing the W all the way to the end. But this one, I think as much as possible with the community colleges during this time, they're trying to make the decisions consistent across all of it. And I can speak later on about how to actually do a late withdrawal and to request a W. But I think before I did that, I wanted to see how all these other policies take place before I start to make changes to our own. But that's still definitely an option, but I'll probably need to discuss that further. And then I'll probably bring it back to the campus for more ideas.
Okay, thank you.
And for the international student, this is Sunwork from the Honda International Office. For the international student, they have to maintain full-time status, which is 12 credits. So they cannot withdraw if they just taking 12 credits. They only can take change their grade option to the credit non-credit option. That's why for that is critical for the international students.
Yes.
They have to change their grade option. Cannot withdraw. Yeah.
Thank you. There may be some VA implications too. I'm not sure. I try not to know those things because they're all very, very technical. Okay, Lisa Irisari has something up there. Also, there'll be more time to talk about that credit, no credit, since it's not going to happen for another few weeks. But keep thinking about those questions that you have about credit, no credit. And I think to respect everyone's time, and people may have other Zoom meetings already that they're late for, we can end this meeting. And again, the way I started is the way I'll end, which is to say thank you all so much for doing what you do for your students and for your colleagues to keep everybody connected. It's really, really important. And just before leaving, usually I ask you all to say goodbye, but I think if you're interested, today is Brian's birthday, and so we can all sing, 100 people can sing happy birthday to Brian on the count of, but you have to unmute your mic. Okay, on the count of 3, we're going to sing happy birthday. I don't want this to be a dirge, so we're not going to go slow. We're going to go slow. Ready? On the count of 3, happy birthday to Brian. 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday to you. No, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to Brian. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Brian. And everybody.
Thank you, everyone. I really appreciate it. Everyone be safe. Thank you.
Don't look a day over 70.